Well, Jessica, we are here to do another book review of a book that we both read in one of our book
Yes.
clubs a while back. It's been a while, but we've been wanting to talk about this book. Um, we just need to get in the right time and the right mindset. Um, I am always looking at, the books and what they're tagged at and where they're recommended, what they're published. Um, I try my best to make sure we're reading, Christian fiction, good books. But I'm human, so sometimes one slips through. And
And
does
this
it
was
happen?
one.
It doesn't it really happen often. Actually, I think this is the only one. I don't really. I mean, that was really like, yeah, no, this is not great. One that some books can have something that's off or we don't agree with, but this is one that was really like, I don't think this should have been tagged as Christian fiction.
I 100% agree.
Yeah, so I would say this was like a clean read. Even that clean is subjective. But this based on
Mhm.
the reading world, Bookstagram, and I don't all
The
these
spice factor was
social.
very low, I guess. Not for my
It's
taste. It was way too
we
high for my taste, but compared to some books that other people have read, I guess the spice
Yeah.
factor is
I
really
mean,
low in this book.
there's no open door, there's no, but yeah, there was some, how would you say, like sensual moments that were inappropriate, especially for Christian fiction. Um, yeah.
It went into
Uh,
way too much detail for the
yeah.
moment.
I guess I should
And
say the name of the book.
we should.
We
Okay, so
should. Okay,
your
yes.
public
It
service
is
announcement.
Yeah, Memory Lane by Becky White.
And the sensual moments are not the only thing that we had
No,
issues with.
there were other
And
issues.
I think we should start this out with maybe saying that there will be spoilers potentially if you are going to read this book. So maybe don't listen to the rest of the podcast, but just be forewarned that there is content in there that we strongly disagree with. Now, if you want to know
Yeah.
what we strongly disagree with, please stick around and listen to the rest of it. But if you want to be
Yeah,
surprised by the book, stop listening.
and what we're sharing is not really the plot points. Like we're not sharing the ending. It's just things that they did within the book that we felt was inappropriate.
Yeah.
So we're not spoiling the ending of how things are figured out, right? But we are spoiling some of the things that did happen. So if you don't want to know what happened, then yeah, you may want to skip this podcast. Unless you
Unless
don't
you're
like
okay with
sensual
spoilers.
moments and
I-
you know.
Honestly, if I just on the sensual moments alone, if I had known those were in the book, I probably would not have
No, and
read it.
again, this our book clubs are read within 3 weeks usually, and so this one was 3 weeks. It was 3 parts. The central moment happened on the last part, so there was no
Yes.
like, oh, this happened in the first part. Let's stop the book. By the time that came up, it was already the end of that round, and it was, I mean, it was what it was, So if that happened earlier, it would have definitely been no. We gotta, at least for the book club, everyone can decide on their own. But as a book club, we're gonna
Yeah.
we're gonna stop. So
But we had
that, yeah,
issues even in the
we
first week.
did
We had
nothing.
issues.
Yeah, nothing that made us decide, okay, no, we need to stop. But yes, there was things that were like, I think some of, we'll get into the details of issues, but I think overall, we thought there was going to be redemption. We thought, okay,
Yes.
we don't like this one, but there's going to be redemption at the end. And, spoiler, there's no redemption.
There isn't. I think
No.
that was the biggest disappointment in the book was she would mention God like once or twice, but it almost felt forced. Like I
It
need
was
to put
like,
this in here just so I can say that
yes.
there's Christian
Yes, it
content
was,
in this book.
let's plug in God here, God here, church there.
Yep.
Yeah.
But there was nothing else. It was literally just a plug. She never took it anywhere. She never did anything
Yeah.
with it.
And
And
there
then at the
there
end,
was
go
sorry,
ahead.
go ahead.
No, go. You're fine.
There was hints that one that, you have, one character that doesn't believe and she's gone through a lot, so she just like how, doesn't really have any faith. And then you have another person that is presented in the beginning. We think this person's going to have a strong faith. That was what it kind of had started to show in the beginning. Like, oh, okay, this is like their main part of who they are, because of what he was remembering. And then it turned out like, he didn't really, he just went to church and that was kind of it. There was nothing
Yep.
else in there that really showed, um, yeah, his faith at
There was
all.
no growth in this book for any of the characters, in my opinion. Like, I genuinely don't feel like any of the characters became better people by the end of it. And like going back to the whole redemption thing, it just there was nothing there. And I felt like, why am I reading two train wrecks? Like two trains going into a wreck with each other. Cause that's what, I don't know, that's what I felt like by the end of the book. I don't see how these two people could be happy together by the end of the book and live like happy lives just with how everything progressed through the book. Like it doesn't make sense to me. Um, but
I
yeah,
mean,
within
yeah, I can
go
see
ahead.
it in the secular world. Like you pick up this book and if you would have told me this is a secular book, then I'd be like, "Oh, okay, this is, a secular fiction." When it's secular, it's not going to be based on
Yes.
Christ. And at the end of it was like, this seems like it could be normal because a lot of normal relationships are not, uh, that don't have Christ are not healthy. And, they haven't been able to, put all their trust in their trauma and give it to God. Um, and so it just read as a normal secular book, not a Christian
Yeah.
fiction. But
Well, and even then, though, like the girl, another spoiler alert, the girl does suffer some serious sexual trauma from, years ago. And she is held up in a cabin in the middle of an island all by herself because she is shedding herself away from the world. She doesn't want to deal with what she went through and handle it. And I mean, I can understand you go through an emotional trauma like that, a physical trauma like that, you want to shut yourself away. But I feel like by the end of the book, like she had not addressed it still. It would still become a problem. And I feel like she went from trying to find something maybe to help her through this to relying maybe on him. Like
yeah,
and like there was no God. Like not relying
it
on God.
was
It was
like, oh, now I feel, I didn't feel comfortable with you because of my trauma. And now, but in the book, I feel comfortable with you. I must be healed.
yeah.
It wasn't, yeah, like it wasn't like she actually gave anything over to God.
Or
It,
was truly healed from the trauma that she went through.
yes,
And that's the other heartbreaking part is that women out there that have suffered this, if you read this book, I feel like you're going to be very angry with how the author handled the situation. And not just the fact that the character spends way too much alone time with this guy, way too
yes.
much
And
for
in a
having,
house in the middle of nowhere,
yep.
not much people around. It just doesn't make any sense.
It doesn't. When you go through something like that, I would think, why would you put yourself in a situation when you're alone with a guy? You wouldn't. And so, like that was one of my main issues is you suffer this trauma, but you're still alone with this guy all the time. It's not just once in a while.
Yeah.
It's
No, it's a
often
lot. Yeah.
and in very sensual situations, which again, if you went through this trauma, like I would think that you would be more careful about putting yourself into sensual situations, right? And then to be truly healed from that takes a lot of time. It takes a lot of work in like therapy. And I mean, I've not been through something like that, but I can't imagine going through that. And then to get to the end of the book and she basically be like, "Oh, I'm fine now because I have this guy and I can put my trust in him." It's like that's not how that works. Like she did everything
Yeah.
wrong that a trauma survivor would probably say, and then, like, she treated it lightly at the end of the book, like it was no big deal that she went through it. you can't tell me that there aren't ramifications and that they still don't need to work through things that she went through, you know? So just how the author handled that entire situation. And I'd never been through something like that. And it made me mad for the people that did suffer that type of trauma to be treated so lightly.
Yeah. Yeah, and we saw also throughout the book one of the coping mechanisms that again we thought there'd be redemption. We thought at the end of the book there'd be something to say like, no, we should have done this, and it seems small. Like I mean, some people might not pick it up, but anytime she was stressed, she would drink alcohol.
Yeah.
And I thought, at least, when she offered it to the guy'd be like, no, we don't, it's not the right time. We shouldn't be, drinking when you're stressed. But no, he drank with her. And again, it's like, okay, maybe at the end the author will come around and talk about that and how that's not, the right way to deal with stress. Um, but no, it was never addressed, as anything negative. And, I fully believe that, drinking alcohol is not a sin. It's, getting drunk is a sin, but you don't drink alcohol to solve your problems. You don't drink
No.
alcohol to numb your feelings. That is not, um, appropriate in a Christian fiction book. Unless there's redemption, and there wasn't. So that's another reason why we kept reading was because we were thinking at the end, this is
It was
gonna come
all going to
back,
come together. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, and those are just some of the main issues that we have with like the main plot line. The subplot lines. Oh my goodness. So I don't know if you want to talk about the old man or not. I will be happy to say about how much that
I
storyline
say
made me mad.
when we've talked about this before, I think you should talk about this.
It genuinely made me so angry that so she's friends with this elderly gentleman. I think he's like what 70s, 80s. He's really old. And he was married for Lord knows how many years, has kids, grandkids, and he used to live on the island and then he moved to the mainland because he needed to be closer to hospital services. Well, he was bummed out, and so she went to visit him, and he mentioned how he had his first love, how he let her get away. And so the main character is like, "Oh, I'm gonna see if she's still around and if she's still alive." And I'm like, "Oh, that's kind of sweet, I guess. Like it's kind of weird that you're still holding on to this flame after you made a literal entire life with your wife and had kids and you have grandkids, but okay, you still hold a flame for this one chick." And so eventually, spoiler alert, she finds her and they get together and then they both start talking about how they wish they would have been together the whole time. And basically like I'm sad that I married but she got married and like had kids and all that other stuff too and they were both like regretful that they did that and wish they would have stayed together. And I was beyond livid at that plot point. Like, it's one thing, okay, you bring back an old flame and they can end their life together happily. But then to sit here and literally say you regret not having spent your entire life with this woman?
Yeah.
What about the wife that you built a life with? You had kids with, your
Yeah.
grandchildren. Like, Wha ouch! Like, did you not love her? I don't know. That made me so angry. Like, what message are you trying to say? Like, you had a flame, that your first crush, like my first crush when I was 16, like I wish I should have married him and then ditch my husband and my daughter and go find him right now and say, "Hey, I know we should have been together this whole time." Like, is that the message you're trying to send? Is like your first love is the one that you should be with? Forever and not like, I don't know. I don't know. It made me so angry that you spend so much time and they get together and then he says, "I wish I would have spent my entire life with you." Wow. And then do you want to talk about the mom? Do you remember the mom?
I think you should go ahead.
The mom pissed me off too cuz she's such a floozy. We're like the mom of the male main character
Yes.
is a floozy. And she wants to maintain that lifestyle, but some other dude comes into her life and he's like the straight arrow dad sort of guy. And his wife died,
Can
right?
I have this?
I think his wife died. And so he went to And so he went to go visit the male main character's mother and basically starts falling in love with her. And I'm like, dude, you could do so much better than her. And then she's just like, no, you're too good for me. But I'm like, darn right he is. He's not trying, like, she doesn't want a serious relationship. And it's one of those like, all of the side characters, and I think she ends up being like one of the characters in like the next book. This is like a series of books and it follows, I
Yeah,
think, different
yeah,
family members or
yeah.
something. And I'm sitting here like, I don't want to know her story because there's no redemption in this one. And she is a flat out floozy that's going around and does not care to have a serious relationship. It's just more about what she can do to please herself. And how I no, it's like every character in this book, there's no redeeming qualities. And I feel like the few quote unquote good characters in this book don't help the main characters be better people. Like I think about the lady on the island with the main female character and how that lady is like trying to get the guy and the girl in the same house together and like left
Yeah.
them alone. And it's like, yeah, don't do that with a stranger. Like, I don't know. Overall, this book was just, there were so many red flags and it was just not worth it in the end to get to the end of the book and people just be okay. Then the ending of the book also made me very upset because, spoiler alert, it was so unrealistic. How she would go into the house and then, like, the guy's there with the gun. And then how they all come out. The whole scene in my head as she wrote it out and I'm picturing it, like, that would never happen. Never in a million years.
I
Like, unless
mean,
they're all
I
dumb.
I don't like, yeah, it's just one of those things, like, I can get over a few,
If that was
unrealistic
the only
scenes.
part of the book
Yeah, if that
that
was the
I
only part, but
but
it's just all the other stuff, you
you just
know?
get through all this and then you come to an unrealistic
Yeah,
ending and you're just like, "Wow, okay."
yeah, and this is tagged as Christian fiction. It is, uh, it is, just all over, like, Facebook Christian, fiction groups and recommended, and it was on my list for a long time. It's why I added it to the book option when we voted and it was voted in. Um, and so it is a somewhat popular book that's, I think a lot of people read and a lot of people like. And that's why it's so important or so beneficial being in a book club because we are dissecting these books. We're not just reading it and it's going in one ear out the other, and so we have each other to talk about this book. And I think that some of these things, if people are reading this for enjoyment, they m- it just may go in one ear out the other. Like they're not really
Yeah.
catching all these different things. And why then that's why it's so popular because it is interesting. There's interesting elements to it. Um, I know you didn't enjoy the writing style. I will say I like the writing style in and of itself of how she wrote it. I liked it. It was the content that was in it that I did not care for. And so if you're just reading a book or listening to the audiobook just to have a book to listen to, I can see how people miss some of these things that are happening. Um, but yeah, it wasn't great.
And I agree with you. I like that's why we go through the book in the book clubs and we do it week by week. It's not that we read the whole book and then come together at the end of the month and talk about the book. We are literally dissecting the book section by section, every single book that we read in book clubs. And it's great when you go through an awesome fiction book and you're dissecting each section with the group and you just gain so much more because you miss things that other people see and you're just sitting here like, oh my goodness, that's so cool. And it's awesome when you're in a great book club. It's also great when you have a bad book because then you also get like, okay, it's valid what I'm feeling. I'm not just sitting here in my own head, the echo chamber, right? Because these are different women from different walks of life, but literally everybody in that club for that book did not like this book for the exact reasons that we
Yes.
stated. And some of the women in there, I believe, like they hinted at either having firsthand knowledge or secondhand knowledge of people going through that type of trauma and saying, no, this is not what you're supposed to do. And like, it's just seeing that emotion on their face about how you're treating this whole thing wrong. It's like I wouldn't necessarily know that because I haven't
Yeah.
been through it. But being in a book club with people that either know people or they themselves have, you get more of that sense, right? You can empathize more. Except when the writer doesn't do a great job of treating the characters like she should. Um, but yes, doing the book section by section with a group is just it's wonderful. You learn things from other people. I did not expect to learn so much about Maine reading that book than I did because one of the members is from there and she very much so said, "No, that's not how people talk. They actually talk this way." Or she did not put enough of the lingo in there. Or, it was great. I loved it. I love learning so much about things because of the other members of the book club. So, we would strongly recommend that you not read the book, but if you choose to read the book, just beware that there are things in there that we don't agree with how she handled it. So, but take with that what you will. It could be a great conversation starter.
If you read it like it's a secular book. Like, don't expect there to be really any faith at all.
I would agree. But it was a great experience to know how to handle and what to do when you have a not so great book club, a book in your book club. So, thank you, Christine, for the wonderful
Thank
book
you.
recommendation. To have me read for the first time. No, I'm just teasing. But no, thank you so much for joining us in our little rant about memory lane, and we hope to see you guys soon.